for Sasheer Zamata. Hello, I'm Sasheer Zamata, and welcome to my one-night-only talk show, Spot On Nightly, presented by Planned Parenthood. You know what we don't talk about enough? Periods and birth control. That's why I'm doing this talk show, because this is a conversation that needs airtime. It needs to happen, period. Now, because I'm always caught off guard by my period, I'm usually roaming the earth unprepared and bleeding everywhere. I feel confident saying I put in my 10,000 hours of bleeding, so I should be expert level by now. And yet, I don't know how to do it without ruining furniture. So that's what we're gonna talk about tonight. Periods, birth control, cravings, hormones, glow-ups, pain, self-care, tracking, doctor's visits, and most importantly, taking control of your period and birth control, and finding strength in your cycle. This show is sponsored by Spot On. Tracking your period, cycle, and birth control with Spot On gives you the power to know your body and advocate for yourself. Thanks, disembodied hands. So I have 5 powerful, inspiring guests to help facilitate this conversation. Let's meet them. First up, Tyler Ford. And now we have Deja Foxx. Please welcome Jasmine Airdelle. Next up, Christina. And give it up for Melanie Santos. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to my studio and my home. You guys don't know each other. But even though you don't know each other, we all have something in common, is that you all have stories about your cycle.
Yes.
So I want you guys to tell me one word that would describe your period.
Mysterious.
Moody.
I think I'd go for balance.
I am going to go with love.
Well, I'll counter that. My word is annoying because it's annoying.
Do you remember your first period experience and what resources you had available to you?
I remember when I got my first period, I was super nervous, confused. I was in like 5th grade maybe. But the feeling that I remember most was stress. I remember my mom was stressed about affording period products for me. And I feel like we can't talk about periods without also talking about period poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Because in high school, I experienced homelessness for the first time. And I was often getting my period products from the shelter.
I remember my first period as it was yesterday. I was 11 years old. I was in 5th grade. And I remember going to see my mom and being like, Mom, I got my period, like really loud. And she was like, oh my God. And I'm like, wait a minute. She's whispering, so I should be ashamed of this. I learned then at 11 years old, we don't talk about periods. And since then, I've just been like revolting, like, I have my period. I have cramps and I feel moody because it's normal. Yeah.
There are tons of things you can learn by tracking your cycle with Spot On, like when your period is coming, why you're in pain, when you might get a headache, what to do if you miss a pill. Ready to take control of your period, cycle, and birth control? Download Spot On to take the 30-night challenge at home. I feel like people don't talk about this stuff enough. Do you feel that way?
Definitely, yeah. It's like taboo to talk about like personal things.
In terms of like trans reproductive health, we don't talk about it because we don't know what to talk about. And a lot of the time, we don't even have access to healthcare to begin with, whether that's because of, discrimination in healthcare or that's because of the financial barriers to even getting yourself to a doctor to begin with.
For me, I think that it is a cultural thing. I don't see a lot of women of color that's actually talking about endometriosis. I'm hoping that by me being able to share my story, that I would empower other people that look like me to use their voice as well, because our stories are so unique and different.
There are other health issues that come up that don't get that much airtime, like fibroids, endometriosis, and PCOS. These are all stories we can share and learn from. So can you explain what PCOS is?
Okay, so PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. About 8 years ago, my hormone levels were being tested because I've had irregular periods my entire life. My doctor at the time suggested that I may have PCOS, but I ended up being pregnant. Being infertile is one of the symptoms of PCOS, so I kind of just left it alone, never really revisited it until this year when I struggled to lose weight after having kids. So I decided to go back to the doctor and did some more testing and found out that I do have PCOS.
So you can't have a child when you have PCOS.
You did, yeah, you definitely can.
You did.
Yeah.
So does it affect your day-to-day?
I think it does. It does affect my mood. It does affect like what I can eat. Knowing that I have PCOS, I don't feel the same as I did about my weight gain. I don't blame myself the way I used to.
Because I have a chronic condition, endometriosis, we have what we term endo flares. My abdominal area completely flare up as if I'm 4 or 5 months pregnant.
And how long has it been happening?
Pretty much my whole life, but it wasn't until I was 27 that I was like, aha. The irony in me being diagnosed with endometriosis, I'm a healthcare professional, and one of my patients was an OBGYN. And I spoke to her, I'm like, listen, I have really bad leg pain. I keep going to the doctor. They keep thinking that I have blood clots in my legs. I know it's not that. I know there's something else wrong with me. And she was like, oh, you have endometriosis. Laying in her bed, and I'm supposed to be helping her.
Good thing you talked about it.
Yeah, and I'm like, and here's the thing, the power of communicating and not keeping things to yourself and actually being vocal, it completely changed my life, and I'm truly and forever grateful for her.
Periods happen. One cool thing about Spot On is that it's an easy way to know when your period is coming and notice if something's up. Get to know your flow and so much more by tracking your cycle with Spot On.
When I was younger, I never felt like a girl. And I was, studying how to be a woman and what it meant to be a woman. And so I was waiting for it because I was like, oh, well, when I get my period, then I'll feel like a woman, or when I get boobs, I'll feel like a woman. It was just all of these things. When this happens, when I look, more like a woman, then I'll feel like a woman. And then, I still never felt like a woman. And then when I was 20, I started transitioning and I went on testosterone. And so I didn't have a period for 2 years. And when I went off of testosterone, that's when I started tracking, because I was moody as my levels were rebalancing. And then I was like, well, what is that versus what is my cycle? And just having them tracked was helpful.
Did you know your daily schedule, things like traveling, exercising, even stress, can affect your cycle? Track with Spot On every day to better understand your period symptoms. What types of birth control have you tried in your life?
Around the same time I got diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and depression was around the same time that I was experimenting with birth controls. So I've tried everything.
I've been on oral contraceptives since I was 15. How many I've been on is a total different question, but they were all just oral birth controls.
So I chose the IUD because I knew I would forget pills and it would be pointless. So I feel like I don't have to think about it.
I had an IUD, but then I got a fibroid. That pushed it out. I didn't even know. I just was bleeding heavier, and I thought that meant oh, time's up on the IUD, time to get it out. And so I went to the doctor and was like, I'd like a new one, please. And they're like, we can't find your old one. Oh. Yeah, so, and then they realized, oh, what's in place of the IUD is a fibroid, and that has to go too. And now it's out, and everything's fine. It's time for Pill-O Talk, the part of the show where we talk about all things birth control. So Deja, I'm gonna quiz you on your Pill-O knowledge. I'm gonna pick up one of these items, and I want you to tell me what it is and a little fact about it. And you only have 30 seconds. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, and here we go.
The pill. You take it every day. These are likely placebos.
This one.
The implant, it lasts a long time, but you can get it removed at any point. The IUD, over 99% effective and great for college students.
This one.
The ring, you personally insert this one and it works a lot like the pill.
This one.
The patch also works a lot like the pill. You put it on your skin.
This.
The shot, it lasts 3 months and you go to a doctor to get it.
You did it! Great job. Do you ever miss a pill? And What do you do if that happens?
We all miss pills.
Right.
Life comes up, but I always just take it as soon as I can remember. You just use another method of protection on top, and that's what you can do.
With Spot On, you can set daily reminders to take your pill and get help on how to catch up if you miss one or two. Thank you so much for this talk. It was really inspirational. If you're up for it, I'd love for you to add tracking to your nightly routine. 1 month of tracking, and then you report back with what you learned. And we're calling it the 30-Night Challenge. To help you remember to track, we're giving you some cozy Spot On swag.
I've been using the Spot On app for 1 week now.
This is my first week of using the app.
It's been 8 nights of tracking.
It has given me insight on things I have never paid attention to.
Like, it doesn't just stop at tracking your period or your birth control. You can track your activity, your mood in so many different ways.
I ate junk food every single day. I could not believe it.
I was fertile.
It's quickly become a part of my routine. Shower, skincare routine, Spot On.
I feel like I've been PMSing for an eternity, but my Spot On logs say that it's only been about a week.
Totally forgot to take my pill. So the next day, it reminded me to take 2 pills.
My flow has been super heavy and extremely unpredictable. I'm over it.
I do have some spotting, and I did notice that this week it correlated with my acne.
At the doctors, they always ask, when was your last period? This time, I had that information ready to go at my fingertips in the Spot On app.
It predicted that on night 17, I would have my period. On that night, I actually experienced spotting.
This is night 30 of the 30-Night Challenge. Tracking helps me to understand the patterns of my cycle.
Spot On also has a feature where it predicts your next period.
I would tell everyone that gets a period to track their period, but not only track their period, track their mental health symptoms.
I have learned so much about myself, my body, my mind, and just my mood.
I hope you all stay curious about your bodies, your cycle, what method is best for you.
This is Melanie Santos signing out from the 30-Night Challenge.
Share this video with your siblings, cousins, friends, any person with a period that you care about, and inspire them to do their own Spot On 30-Night Challenge. Don't forget to download the Spot On app and take control of your cycle.